Hey, everybody, and welcome back to another bite-sized political podcast. And whether you're watching this or whether you're listening to this, I wanted to update you on the events that took place on the night of the Euro final between England and Italy. And I'm sure you'll remember on the night it went to the football match went to penalties, and it ended with Italy winning because England players in succession missed their penalties. Oh, yes. Now, that instead of talking about the failure of those to take penalties, and successfully, the whole media narrative was no, the three guys concerned, Marcus Rashford, Jadon Sancho, and Bukayo Saka, they were subject to possibly the worst hate that ever has occurred on the internet since it was invented. That was essentially the media narrative. And there were great concerns about the racism within English football. And we had the usual hand-wringing from the usual people. Obviously, this all operated in an absence of facts, in a void. But now we actually have some facts to review. And it is reported today that more than 100 foreign social media accounts are linked to racist abuse hurled at England stars after Euro 2020, compared to 35 in the UK. As British police arrest 11 people. Take that, you racists. The police are coming for you. Okay, so let's analyze this. So this is about the fact that some fans weren't happy about the fact that England lost because Rashford, Sancho and Saka couldn't convert a penalty. That's the fact of the matter. This is then translated into racist abuse. So we read that more than 120 online overseas trolls, and my aren't there always trolls, including some that will listen to this undoubtedly. More than 120 of these online overseas trolls have been linked to a torrent of racist abuse that English players faced after the 2020 final. Investigating officers warned that racist abusers will not be able to hide behind online anonymity, as they have found more than half of the perpetrators' social media accounts belong to people outside the UK. Okay, so what's the British police going to do? Are they going to now travel around the world seeking to arrest people who sent hurty tweets to these individuals? The UK Football Policing Unit, imagine that, a football policing unit, says it had more than 600 reports from across the country. What does that mean, 600 reports? 600 reports of people saying that other people were saying something they didn't agree with. And 207 were criminal in nature, with 35 being in the UK. Officers have so far arrested 11 people, 10 men and 1 woman. Hey, that doesn't seem gender representative. On suspicion of a number of offences, including malicious communications and breaching the 2003 Communications Act. Oh my, it's funny how the police are really interested in people breaching that Communications Act when it comes to multimillionaire footballers. And yet when other private individuals are harassed and abused and sent the most vile comments on social media, yeah, the police can't do anything about that. And actually, as an aside, the fact that those who have sent criminal tweets have been arrested is a good thing. I think I approve of that. What about the grooming gangs that seem to continue to operate across the UK in our towns and cities with seeming impunity? It's funny how the police seem a little bit slower at being able to, bring convictions there and bring the vile abusers to justice. But hey, it's only taken them 20 years. Meanwhile, in the space of a couple of weeks, they've cleared up a lot of the issues concerning the so-called vile online messages. Now, I've not seen these vile online messages. I'm not sure. Is it a crime to send a hurty emoji to someone? Is that a thing? Is that a crime? It may be. I'm not sure if sending hurty emojis is where British policing and justice has actually arrived at in July 2021. But the point of all this is that the majority of the racist abuse came from outside the UK. And at the end of the day, If the most they can come up with is 35 examples in the UK, and the British population is roughly 67 to 70 million people, it's just not a problem, is it? Yes, there's a tiny fringe of absolute lunatics who will send vile abuse. But then, hey, that happens every day in social media, and not just to multimillionaire footballers, doesn't it? Why don't the police take that with the same degree of priority? I wonder why. So there we have it, folks. We have proof that English football fans are overwhelmingly not racist. They, if there's an issue, it lies outside of the boundaries of this country. And that is something that we should celebrate, the fact that we have such well-balanced football fans in the UK. I mean, as I pointed out at the time after the Euro final, hundreds of thousands of football fans go to see the likes of these players like Rashford and the rest of them playing for their teams week in, week out. They support them, they cheer them on. So the notion that there's this deep-seated racism within a significant amount of British English football fans, it's just a media confection. It's just conjured up to continually make us feel bad. But I think, that when we look at the stats here, and if this is to be believed, and of course we need to have convictions and stuff, but then it's a couple of dozen people. It's 35 people out of a population of 70 million people. And the majority of the abuse came from overseas. So it seems to me that the majority of the racists live overseas. It would be interesting to see which countries overseas that these abusive messages came from as well. That perhaps we will be provided with that, although I suspect not, because ultimately this was about trying to shame English football fans. And as we now see, English football fans have nothing to be ashamed about. So, thanks very much for listening, and catch up with you folks real soon.